friends. Welcome to my rain garden and my home here in View Ridge. I'm going to talk to you about some of the RainWise features of this home. I'm standing right in the middle of my rain garden, which is a nice, small, compact little bowl-shaped garden that captures runoff from about half the roof of my entire house. Alright, so to tell the rain garden story and the RainWise story of this property, it's a good idea to start with the roof. So here we are on the back side of my house. You can see the gutter up here, and this is one of the downspouts that captures half of the roof runoff. The other one is on the other side of the house. I'll show you that in a minute, but you can see the downspout, just like any normal downspout, comes down, but then it has a diversion. And what you see here, this is not a rainy day, but we have condensation this morning, a bit of dew. It's actually coming down off of my painted metal roof and dripping into this collection and filter box, and then it's diverted into the cistern here. On the side you'll see what is actually, I can't quite point to it, but what is actually called a first flush diverter. That captures the first bits of water that carry the most pollution or fine sediments and whatnot down. But everything after that first couple of gallons diverts over through this pipe and into this cistern. And this cistern here is a 400-gallon cistern. And it captures all that excess runoff. And I have it hooked up to a hose bib right here. And this setup's important because this is my hose bib. I've got a diverter, so I've got one hose that goes out to my front yard, another one that I can, another prong that I can fill a watering can from, and then I've got this here, which is my low flow orifice that goes back into the side sewer. So in the rainy months, I turn this direction, and it allows a slow, gradual flow to go back into the sewer system. And then during the summer, when I want to collect rain, I keep that closed, and it allows the tank to fill up. And in this house, with the roof size that I've got, this 400-gallon cistern fills up after about 2 inches of rain or so. So a couple of good spring rainstorms will fill this tank up, and then I've got 400 gallons to use to water my yard. Alright, so here's my other cistern. So the one you saw a moment ago was a 420-gallon cylindrical tank, similar to a rain barrel, but equivalent to 8 rain barrels in terms of how much water it stores. The footprint's really not that much bigger, but the storage volume is immense. But then here's another cistern. This is a 530-gallon tank, and this is in the front of my house, and I have just a simple cedar plank screen in front of it that I train some vines to cover up. And the cisterns, you know, are not, most people don't find them particularly attractive. That makes sense. So this one's covered up with a screen. But the nice thing about this tank is that it is what they call a slim line design. And if you come over here, you can see it nestles up here next to my house, and has a pretty narrow width. It's not even as broad as I am shoulder to shoulder, and I'm not a particularly broad-shouldered folk guy. So anyway, here is the tank itself hiding behind. You can't very well see the downspout, but it's the same situation as in the other cistern. You can see the straps that hold it down to the house in case of earthquake and stuff like that. This is the overflow. I have one of these on the other tank as well. And this overflow, when the tank is full and gets more rainwater into it, this overflow goes down underground in this case, and flows to that rain garden that you saw earlier. But we have the same low flow diverter that in the winter, let's see, I turn, and it allows water to go through this, what's called the low flow orifice, and it's just a little rubber disc with a small hole in it, a pinhole about 1/4 inch in diameter, I think. And it allows a steady, slow flow to go into this same drainage pipe out to the rain garden itself. And then in the spring, I close that off, and this fills up again with about 2 inches of rain. 2 to 3 inches of rain will fill it up. And I have a hose connector here where I can fill up a watering can. Another hose to go out and water the yard. I don't have a pump system or anything like that to run an irrigation system. And in general, I run a pretty low water consumption yard, but I do grow quite a bit of food. And really, I have not had to use city water to water my yard for 2 summers. It helps when you get a couple of rainstorms in the middle of summer to refill your tank, for sure. And with these simple technologies that were paid for with a RainWise rebate, covered I think 80 to 90% of the RainWise part of the landscaping project. I've been able to get 100% of the runoff that lands on my roof to either infiltrate into the rain garden or at least be attenuated by going through the cistern system, which slows down the flow and keeps our sewer system, which I'm in a combined sewer neighborhood where the stormwater goes into the sanitary sewer, and that I'm able to slow down and reduce the number of overflow events that dump a bit of raw sewage into Lake Washington, which that's a good thing. So arguably the coolest part of having a RainWise yard is not the water itself, although I appreciate that for the sake of the salmon, for the sake of the orcas, for the sake of our swimming beaches, but it's what I get to do with that water that I think is the best part. And what I get to do with this water is that I water a permaculture food garden. So I'm standing in front of my favorite part of that garden, which is my peach trees. These frost peaches produce a ton of fruit in the summer months, and I'm able to water them entirely from rainwater, which the rainwater, unlike city water, is free, and it has no chlorine in it, no added other chemicals of any kind. It's just rainwater that falls from the sky. If anything, it's got a few extra nutrients. There's a little bit of airborne deposition of whatever's in the air, a little bit of car exhaust and things like that. But by and large, plants respond really well to rainwater and oftentimes grow quite a bit better than they do in city water. So I've got peach trees, I've got plums, I've got raised beds, a fig tree, tomatoes, blueberries, lots of blueberries, apple trees as well, an Asian pear, I have an olive tree, the list goes on and on. A lot of herbs, and all of these things that I am able to use in the kitchen are all fed by this RainWise system as well. So fruits of the labor, if you will. It's don't even want to call it a perk. It's really the main reason that I do it.